Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. Now, the Waqf Amendment Bill has been sent to the Parliamentary Committee. Let's talk about the Waqf Amendment Bill. Let's talk about Waqf. Let's talk about Waqf Amendment Bill and let us understand why is it a good news that Waqf Amendment Bill has been sent to the Parliamentary Committee. Let's get right to the show. First of all, let me start with the last. You see, the fact is a bill has been sent to the Parliamentary Committee is fantastic news for India. It is a brilliant news for India for the simple reason that this is what we were all hoping for. Parliamentary Committee is put to use. Because earlier on, our bill used to get passed in 3 minutes and 2 minutes and 4 minutes. This was the time we would take to pass a bill because there was absolute majority. The government will rule the roost and the bills were proposed and it was passed and it was taken. Today, it couldn't. They sent it to the Parliamentary Committee. Good news for India. Good news for our democracy. So that's number one. Chalo, isko side mein lete. Let's get into what is Waqf. Now, Waqf under the Waqf Act of 1954 refers to property dedicated in the name of God for religion and charitable purpose. So, legally, if somebody has given the land to the Waqf Board, then Waqf uses that land, movable or immovable properties actually, but more often than not, it is movable rather than immovable. These properties can be used for religious and charitable purpose by the Waqf Board. Now, earlier on, this donation could be also verbal. Verbal donations were also accepted. This is what Waqf is, and Waqf used to be under the Waqf Act 1954. Now, Waqf, the person who donates to Waqf is called Waqif, and there is a governing body of Waqf. Now, the Waqf Board was earlier on, like I told you, governed by the Waqf governors, and the governors, this governing board was earlier on under the Waqf Act of 1954, later on amended by Waqf Act of 1995. So that is the Waqf governing board, and the Waqf board is legal entity capable of acquiring, holding and transferring property. It shall sue and be sued in court. Each state has a Waqf board led by a chairperson, including nominee from the state government, Muslim legislature, parliamentarians, members of the state bar councils, Islamic scholars and muttawalis. That's managers of Waqf with an annual income of 1 lakh and above. So these were the people who could be the governing body of Waqf. 1 lakh and above, you should have an annual income, otherwise you are not allowed in Waqf. So if you have all this qualification and you are any of these following which I just mentioned, you can be part of the Waqf board. Now, interestingly, let me tell you one thing. A Waqif, that is a donor, can be a non-Muslim. So a non-Muslim can donate till such time that that person, that Waqif, believes in the principles of Islam. But as on today, the Waqf governing council cannot be non-Muslims. They have to be Muslims. Only a Muslim can be from the governing council of Waqf. Now that is where it stands. Now 1995, there was an amendment. 1995, like I told you, it was 1954, then there was an amendment in 1995, and the 1995, I will quickly tell you, 1995 Waqf Act is a comprehensive legislation enacted by the Indian government to improve the administration and the management of Waqf properties. It establishes the Central Waqf Council and the State Waqf Board, distributing powers between the Chief Executive and the Waqf Board. So basically, Waqf actually was growing to be a body which was actually mismanaged. There was a lot of mismanagement in Waqf. So, 1995, they amended this act so that the management controls of Waqf was established better. Now, also, there were allegations of Waqf or Waqf land being encroached by others and Waqf not doing anything. There are allegations of corruption in Waqf and Waqf couldn't do much about it, and so on and so forth. So that is why the 1995 Amendment Bill, not that the 1995 Waqf Amendment Bill made a difference and everything became clean. It was not that. Still, there were problems within the Waqf Board. Now, another very important point that we need to understand is that the Waqf arbitration was within the Waqf jurisdiction. So, that is why you hear a lot of people saying that, listen, if the Waqf put a claim on the land, then the owner of the land or the occupier of the land has to prove that this land is his or hers, and the Waqf can actually put claim on any land. So, all this is the current situation of Waqf. This is how the Waqf used to operate. Now, let us come to the crux of the story, and that is the Waqf Amendment Bill 2024. Now, I am going to read out the points of Waqf Amendment Bill so that I am absolutely precise in what we say, and then we will do our small analysis of the entire story. You see, the first thing the bill proposes is that the bill proposes significant reforms, including establishing a central Waqf Council along with state Waqf Council boards, which even 1995 wanted to establish. Notably, these bodies will be representation of Muslim women and non-Muslims too. With provision to appoint 2 women to all state boards as well as central council. 2 important things. First is not only that you are going to have central and state boards, which to some extent was put in 1995 also, but here what they are saying is you will have 2 Muslim women, both in the state board and in the central board. That is the first change. Second is a non-Muslim could also be part of the Waqf Board. This was not there before. Now, Rijuju, the Minister for Minority Affairs, he says that, listen, unfair hai bhai. हम लोग ने ये नहीं बोला कि we will get random non-Muslims and keep them in the board. What we are saying is MPs shall be appointed as Waqf governing council, governing board. That is possible because MPs are MPs. Unko jaat nahi hai. There's no religion attached to an MP. So this is what Rijuju said to this particular amendment. That's Amendment 1. Amendment 2. The district collector. Now this is the most contentious amendment. The district collector as the primary authority in determining whether the property is classified as Waqf or government land. This shifts the responsibility away from the Waqf tribunal, an adjustment that critics argue could lead to misuse of authority by vested interest seeking to acquire valuable properties. Okay, like I told you, very contentious. We will spend 2 minutes on this one. You see, like I told you before, earlier on, it was the Waqf tribunal. So the jurisdiction was the Waqf tribunal. So you have a problem if Waqf says, no, that land is ours and not yours, then the dispute would go to the Waqf tribunal. Now, no. Now, the district collector can decide. No longer with Waqf tribunal. District collector can decide whether this land is government land, this land is Waqf land. So this is very contentious because a lot of people from Waqf and a lot of people who do not support the Waqf Amendment Bill say that, bhai, kal the district collector can take a very prime property of ours and say it is a government land. What do we do? So this is like I said, the most contentious one. The third is the creation of a separate board of Waqf, especially for the Bohras, the Aga Khanis, ensuring representatives of Shias, Sunnis, Bohras and Aga Khanis within the Waqf Board. Now, we'll have representation from the Bohras and the Aga Khanis, which was not there before. The government says this will ensure that entire Shias, Sunnis, Bohras, Aga Khanis, all of them will be able to take the privilege of Waqf Board, use the land of Waqf Board, use their properties for their own charities and their own worship and so on and so forth. So this is the point number 3. Point number 4 is, along with these changes, the bill aims to grant the central government the authority to initiate audit of Waqf properties through auditors appointed by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. This is another very, Very, very contentious point. You see, earlier on, Waqf Board was audited by their internal audit system. It was audited by their internal audit system. Now, no. Now the audit will be done by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. It will be audited by the state. Now, this is something that the Waqf Board will find it very, very difficult, and this is something that the Waqf Board may not agree to. And the last point is, the proposed law is mandate of a valid Waqfnama, which means, you see, this particular law says that when I starting of this editorial, I had spoken to you about verbal promises, verbal donations, verbal agreement. Now, no. You have to have a Waqfnama, which means you have to have an agreement. So, only if you have an agreement with me on the property, if I am a Waqif, that is, I am a donator, and if you don't have an agreement with me, then you are not going to get, that deal or that land cannot be yours and cannot be recognized as a Waqf land because of lack of agreement. Now, these are the key points that the amendment talks about. So, including women, including Boras, including Aga Khanis, including ensuring that the district collector is the boss, finally, now for arbitration, and last but not the least, getting the government to audit you. The audit will be under the Comptroller General of India. The CAG will audit. So that's another thing. And last thing, of course, is the fact that Waqfnama, no agreement, no land. So, gaya. This is where it stands. This is where it stands. So I spoke to you about what Waqf is briefly. I gave you what the laws are, and I just spoke to you about what the amendments are. Now let's talk about what opposition is saying. Opposition is saying, Manish Tiwari, Congress said that no, Baba, ye kya hai? It is unconstitutional. It is not constitutional. How can you do this? The government cannot do this because you are interfering in a person's religion. Akhilesh Yadav said that I have heard in the lobby that this is government snatching your rights. So we'll fight for you. This is what Akhilesh Yadav says. Asaduddin Owaisi said the same thing, Supriya Sule. A lot of opposition leaders say that, listen, you're infringing. You're infringing a community. You're infringing the rights of a community. Let them be. The Minister for Minority Affairs has a different take on this. The Minister of Minority Affairs says that the opposition is misleading Muslims. Till last night, Muslim delegation came to me. Many MPs have told me that the mafia has taken over the Waqf Board. Some MPs have said that they personally support the bill but can't say it due to political parties. We have held multi-layer meetings, countrywide consultation on the bill. Kiran Rijiju says, boss, ये political parties create कर रहा है. Muslims want a supervision because they do not believe their Waqf Board. They feel Waqf Board is taken over by the mafias. With the bill, there is no interference in the freedom of the religious bodies. Forget about taking anyone's rights. The bill has bought to give rights to those who never got them. I think he is referring to the women that are going to be included in the board, and he is talking about the Aga Khanis and the Boras that are going to be included in the board. It is not right to associate the member of parliament. Now hear this out. It is not right to associate the member of parliament with any religion. We are not saying that people of different religion should be made a part of the Waqf Board. We are saying that the member of parliament should be a member of the Waqf Board. Now, if the MP is a Hindu or a Christian, then what can we do about it? Now, if an MP is added to Waqf Board by the virtue of her being an MP, then should we change the MP's religion? This is a point that let us start with this point. Broadly, I have given you everything. I have given you what Waqf Board is. I have told you what the bill is. I have told you what the problems are, and I told you the government's point of view. Now, let us start with the first argument. That MP को रख रहे हैं भाई. MP थोड़ी ना हिंदू होता है. MP हिंदू मुस्लिम कहाँ होता है? अच्छा, नहीं होता है. So, just hear this.
जय भीम, जय मीम, जय तेलंगाना, जय फलस्तीन, तकबीर, अल्लाहु अकबर. जय जगन्नाथ, जय जगन्नाथ, जय काली, जय काली, जय जगन्नाथ.
जय श्री कृष्णा, जय श्री राधा रमन जी, जय भारत माता की.
गुरु गोरक्षनाथ महाराज की जय. नमः पार्वती पते, हरा हरा महादेव. जय भोजपुरी.
So, MPs, according to Rijuju, is not Hindu or Muslims. They are religiously agnostic. So that's it. That's the first point. The second point is there some level of logic to this? There is some level of logic to this. There is a lot of corruption in Waqf Board. There is a lot of instance of land grabbing, encroachment, etc., that's happening in the Waqf Board. There is no question about it. But you see, what is important here is to ensure that a religion is given the freedom to function the way it is functioning. Till such time that the religion doesn't encroach on another religious faith or another person's rights. Till then, if they are functioning in a way they are, it is better that they are allowed to. Number one. Number two, I want to know your opinion. How fair is it? How fair is it for a governmental body to interfere into a religious matter? How fair is it? And how much interference should a government do in a religious matter? Whether it is Muslims or it is Hindus, because a lot of people are also going to say that, listen, Devasam Board especially in Kerala, has a lot of government interference. Tamil Nadu, there is a lot of government interference. So a lot of people, you all are going to say that, and I agree to you. My question is therefore general. That, listen, how much and why should a government interfere in a religious matter? Religious matter, let it be handled by religious people. Like political matters, religious person should not interfere. Religious matter, political people and administration should not interfere. Let them be handled by the religious team itself, unless and until they are breaking any norms or going against any laws of the land. So that's the point number two. The last point. The last point is, you see, saying that a district magistrate should be finally the authority. This is not going to be seen very positively. You know why it's not going to be seen very positively? Because the sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka vishwas, that vishwas factor is still not there. There is a group of people who still believes that maybe we will not get justice. Maybe because the government is involved, they may not be fair to us. There's a group of people who still thinks that. Till such time that Vishwas is not completely gained, to go in and get into a Waqf board and then, interfere in the Waqf board, how fair is that? That's my point number 3. That being said, it is also necessary that the Waqf board is made more effective. It is also necessary that the Waqf management, the workings are made more transparent and more effective for the Muslim community themselves. It is made more effective, and also that the kind of encroachment and all that we hear, those need to be checked. So this is where I will end my editorial. You decide what is right, what is wrong, and I'll wait to see your comments. Till I see you next time. That's tomorrow at 10. Namaskar.
Stay ahead with our cutting-edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.